What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about KASPA. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. This one comes to us at the request today of Cashies. Cashies, I've been meaning to do this one for a while, but I'm going to go over some stuff that I've gone over plenty of times, but there's some people out there, and I get a lot of comments. I'm going to get the same negative comments that I always get, right? You don't know the history of KASPA. You don't know the power law. You don't like blah blah. Like, you guys are like a bunch of parrots. It's like I don't even think you actually understand the information that you're trying to promote. You're just saying it because it's what you've seen other people say, or it's what you've heard. Like, it seems repetitive. It almost seems like bots are saying this, and I don't know if I believe that to be true. I would more believe that there might be this kind of mindless thought association with KASPA, in that you guys just see things on YouTube and you just blindly believe it. You don't even look into it yourself. You're just like, oh, this guy seems smart, I'm just going to go with that. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys do know more. But whenever I get vague comments, that's not something that someone from a point of intellect does. And oftentimes, whenever I interact with somebody who disagrees with me from an intellectual standpoint, they give me more than just, you don't know the power law, you don't know the history of KASPA. Like, give me evidence that these things exist. You want to say that KASPA's got a power law going on? I think it's too early to say that. I see the structure. I see what you're talking about, right? On a monthly basis, if we talk about, I don't know why I was looking at Apple, BTC here, right? I can see what you're going for, right? It's got this like long-term slopes, right? Logarithmic regression, whatever. In the chart, I can see that. But the fact of the matter is, KASPA's really young, you guys. It is really young. It came about in June of 2022. We don't know how it's going to perform in a bear cycle. We don't. It's still just an altcoin. And the one fallacy that a lot of you KASPA knots, someone said CAS holes, and I feel like you guys are CAS holes, but I'm not going to call you that, KASPA knots, because you guys are up in space here. You KASPA people, the one thing that you guys do that's the exact same as every single person that is tribal about their coins is you think this one's different. You think this one is an exception to every other coin out there, and maybe it is. There's one thing that's different about it, right, that no other coin can claim other than Bitcoin, is that and this is actually the only case to relate it to Bitcoin, is that Marathon is mining KASPA. They've publicly announced that they're mining KASPA. And actually, I think it's kind of funny. We're going to go over a lot of things in this video, you guys. So I hope I haven't steered anyone away with the intro there, but just getting the stuff out there. KASPA 2 weeks ago, right? Bitcoin miner Marathon. I don't even know if it was actually 2 weeks ago. Let's look. This was I've already looked up all the articles. This is the oldest article that I could find. June 26th. Okay, June 26th, KASPA. So that news came out on June 26th, right? When was the high? It was June 30th. So not quite the 26th, but still relatively within a week afterwards, we found our high, right? So even after the Marathon news, KASPA, one thing is for sure, it's not so defiant that it can't move down with the rest of the market when the market's having a hard time. Arguably debatable. I mean, not even that arguable. It's holding up well compared to a lot of cryptos. And I want to say the same thing. A lot of you guys like to forget that I say this, right? You hear the negative and it's like you focus on that, but this is the most bullish chart of the run in crypto. There's no other chart in crypto that's from this point of June 2022 all the way to now that looks as good as this one does. This is a very good looking chart. But the problem that I have, the dilemma that I have that I address to a lot of you, is you just think it's going to do this forever. Like it did this in the beginning. Maybe some of you reminisce on the good old days, right? Even here, but these days they're going to diminish. And that's something that your power law literally states, is that you're going to have diminishing returns. Over time, you are going to see less gains. It's a part of it, right? If you believe in the power law. So inevitably, on that note, I've watched a few videos on people, because I'm trying to figure out who you guys are getting this information from, right? Like where this is coming from, because it does seem to me, again, like I said, it doesn't seem like it's coming from people, when I get it in the comments, like it's coming from people who actually know what they're talking about. It seems like regurgitated information from people who see things on YouTube. So I watched some, I typed in KASPA power law on YouTube. I didn't need to do that to learn what the power law is, or learn what linear regressions were, logarithmic regressions were, right? I didn't need that personally, but I wanted to see where you were getting your information from and what it was calling for. And one guy specifically, and actually a few guys, are calling for a $50 price at a minimum in 2029. Okay, and that somewhat can make sense, right? Because 2029, that should be around the time of the next bull run, right? We should be going through the bull run in that time, right? Maybe the end of it. I don't know from a time perspective. Let me see. Actually, maybe we can just do this real quick. Hold on. Right, just rough associations of time. So from this high to that, like to the end of the bull run, because this was the all-time high, but this was arguably the end of the bull run. From this high here, from the all-time high, 40 months out, we'll just go. I don't think this is when the end of the bull run is going to be, but hey, that would be March of 2025, right? If we were to do, let's assume that was the high. We went a little bit further. I guess for all intents and purposes, maybe we should do this from high to high. Maybe we should do it like that. High to high. So then this high here to this high here. 49 months, 47 months. Okay, yeah, that seems a bit more appropriate. This is for Bitcoin, obviously, right? So let's just say 47 months on the short end would be the end of this cycle, right? Potentially. That's October of 2025. Let's go another 47 months potentially to measure out the next cycle. Okay, so that's in 2029. Yeah, so that does line up. It does make sense from a time perspective that KASPA would see dramatically higher prices than what I'm calling for this cycle in its next cycle. That makes sense. But $50, let's do some math real quick as to what $50 would mean. And then we're going to go over the emission schedule, by the way, which KASPA, I don't know if they've changed things, but it's not accurate to what they're saying on their KASPA.org. I've gone on their tokenomics, right? You go to About KASPA, you click tokenomics, you go KASPA release schedule here. It's not accurate to what they're saying, which that's a little bit concerning to me, but not much, right? Presumably, there's a max supply that won't change, right? It's inflationary now, but inevitably will become stationary. It's not going to be deflationary. It will no longer be inflationary. It will be a stationary asset, kind of like Bitcoin too. I guess there's another comparison to Bitcoin there. But this guy and a few other people are talking about $50 for KASPA in the next bull cycle. Okay, so 2 cycles. No crypto, by the way, has in 2 cycles seen a $1 trillion market cap. Or I say no crypto. Has Ethereum done that? Let's just see real quick, right? Because I did this last time, and I'll go over some things that I'm referring to real quick. Just I'm all over the place, but let's see here. Market cap, max log, right? Okay, so no, Ethereum did not in its second bull cycle see $1 trillion. No. Okay, Ethereum's never hit $1 trillion, of course. All right, so anyways, no crypto, not even Bitcoin, has seen $1 trillion market cap over a $1 trillion market cap in their second cycle, which that's what a $50 price would be. If we measure this all the way up to here, we're going to do the math together right now, okay? 50, come on, buddy. Get it up there. Get it up there. And again, I want to say, guys, I think KASPA is going to go higher. I think it's not even close to its all-time high of this cycle. I think it's got, in next cycle, it will likely grow too, if it remains relevant, right? That's the whole key. It's still a new chart. You don't know if it's going to remain relevant. It's got all these hopes and dreams right now, but again, the fallacy that most people make is they think that their crypto is special. They think that it's different, and maybe it is. We don't know. The truest test of all is the test of time. You're not going to know until you have higher lows in your bear cycle and you have higher highs in your next bull cycle. You're really not going to know if this thing's got multiple cycles of growth to go, right? Most cryptos, 90+% of them, here's the statistics for you, right? Over 90% of them do not see higher highs and higher lows cycle after cycle. Most cryptos, the ones that do well in their first cycle, that's all they do. They just do well in their first cycle. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying that KASPA is going to only do well this cycle. I could see it doing well in the next cycle too. But a $50 price, okay, that's what that is, $50.30. It's about a 31x. It says, sorry, not 31x, I'm sorry, 301x right there. Okay, 301x. From the current price, right? Yeah, that is from the current price. KASPA itself right now, let's just round up and say a $4 billion market cap. Okay, so $4 billion, 301x, right, times 4. 1,000, if we get 1,000, that's $1 trillion. Every one, everything in the ones is a billion, tens is 10 billion, hundreds is 100 billion, thousands is $1 trillion based off of this. Because I'm not going to type in all the zeros for 4 billion, right? It's just 4. So that would be 1.2 trillion. What people are calling for by the definition at a minimum. Again, from what I've seen, this is what the minimum projection is that $50 in 2029 could happen. But you guys, the math checks out to a $1.2 trillion market cap. And here's the kicker, right? That's with the current supply. A lot of these guys don't contribute the idea of whenever it's all out there. And most of it's out there. Let's write the circulating supply right now is 24.139 billion coins, but the max supply is 28. All these coins are going to be put into the ecosystem. So really, if we did this number, I am going to type out the whole number now. The actual accurate number, it wouldn't even be 1.2 trillion. It would be higher than that. We're going to do 28.7 billion, right? 28.7 billion, okay, times $50, right? That would be 1.4 trillion. Okay, and again, this is the minimum association from the videos I've watched. What these guys are projecting out with their logarithmic regressions, it's about $50 at a minimum, right? In 2029, you're telling me that you're going to have at a minimum a near $1.5 trillion market cap in the next cycle. Whenever you started from a like $4 million market cap this cycle, that's ridiculous. Nothing's ever done that before, and I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's very highly unlikely, you guys. Nothing moves in a straight line forever, and that's essentially what you're asking for. And yes, you can see that there's a regression going on a nice curved path, but the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand, and you want to say you don't know the power law, what a lot of you seem to not know about technical analysis is charts that look like this, they tend to be at the end of their ropes. When you see this curvature like this, you're probably closer to seeing some kind of major downfall than not. And whenever you get that, it will throw that power law, right? I mean, we're going to know by the time that this thing finds its all-time high this cycle. It's not going to take till 2029 to figure out if the power law is still in effect. We'll know how well it does in the bear cycle. We'll know, right? Because if it holds to this structure, cool. If it doesn't go below like essentially 12 cents ever again, okay, cool. Then yeah, there's probably like throughout the whole bear market of this next bear market that's going to come probably at the end of next year or in the beginning of 2026, whenever that may be. For KASPA, it's probably going to be earlier, and I'll go over my reasons for that too. But if it can hold above 12 cents, because essentially that's just a rough curve. I don't have the logarithmic regression built onto here, right? I don't have the custom indicator put in there, but I mean, you can look at someone else's channel and determine where those are. But essentially, roughly, just with your naked eye, you can see. I mean, I don't think it's a hard ask. If this is respecting the power law, what you're saying is it would not go below 12 cents ever again, right? If it's going to make a $50 price, if you're going to see a $1.5 trillion, let's just say $1.4 trillion, right? We'll milk it a little bit. $1.4 trillion market cap next cycle because of what the power law is saying, then you wouldn't go below 12 cents ever again. And if you do, well, then your power law is baloney, right? And again, from my experience, seeing this kind of curvature in the chart means you're oftentimes closer to your top than and about to break structure than you are to just continue this onward. It can happen, right? It can happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but again, I'm going off of my experience. I've been in crypto now since 2015. I've really been heavily involved in technical analysis since 2017. Okay, I've got over 7 years of experience doing this. In my experience, that's normally not the case. It's a very rare exception that you see that kind of stuff, okay? You need like a market leader. And KASPA, again, it's been a market leader this cycle. But that in itself isn't special. There's always market leaders. There's always the coin that does the best each cycle. Dogecoin and Shiba Inu were those coins last cycle. They're definitely not those coins this cycle. You see what I mean? You see what I mean, right? Like and they're not following the power law. But anyways, Ethereum. I've often said that no crypto has seen a $100 billion market cap and started at a under $100 million market cap and gone to a $100 billion market cap in one cycle. I've said that. Ethereum, somebody corrected me in the comments, and I forget who it was. I'd give you a shout out, but I'm not afraid of being wrong. Ethereum is that one coin that went from a $40 billion market cap thereabouts, or sorry, $40 million market cap around there, and it went to a $100 billion market cap. And this person tried to compare KASPA to Ethereum in that sense. But the thing is, KASPA started at around a $4 million market cap, about 10 times less, right? Or I guess 90% less. We're talking about a 10x difference in price of a market cap valuation for KASPA versus Ethereum. I don't believe KASPA is going to see a $100 billion market cap this cycle, you guys. I think it could see a $40 billion market cap, an $80 billion market cap. Once we get to that $80 billion threshold, things are pushing the limits, and we can go over what the math would check out to be real quick. But again, this isn't going to be accurate because there are emissions that get cut every single month. I understand, and we're going to go over that soon in a second too, but I wanted to address this real quick. 4 billion essentially right now, right? 3.99 billion. We're just going to say 4 billion. If you times 10 that's a 900% growth. Okay, times 10 is a 900% growth. Why is it 900%? Well, you already have 100% of it at this price, so you need another 900%. 1 times 10, right? That's a 10x. But this is your 10. I promise you, it's a 10x, right? Look, 16.7 cents, $1.67. That's times 10. Okay, I promise you. It says 900, but that would be a 10x. That would be about a $40 billion market cap. I could see KASPA doing this. A 1.677, about a $1.68 price for its all-time high by the end of this cycle. I could see that at a minimum. Honestly, I like maybe not even at a minimum. It's hard to do fib projections out on this thing because it really hasn't had any significant divots. I mean, I say that, and this is like a 70% drop here, but I guess you have some fibs lining up here. What's this 4618 all the way up here? That's a bit too much. That would put you above a $100 billion market cap. So I don't think that's going to happen. But a 20x instead of a 10x would be about here, and that would be around an $80 billion market cap, right? And I could see that happening. I could see an $80 billion market cap happening. I don't know if I believe that you'd get much past that. I think that you could, but that's at $3.37 essentially. I do not believe, I feel very confident in saying this, I don't believe KASPA is going to break through $4. It probably won't even, this is like, maybe gets close in the sense of like it goes to 350, 330, maybe even like 380, who knows, but I don't think it interacts with $4 at all. This cycle, next cycle, if it remains relevance and nothing, it doesn't lose traction, sure, it can, but the test of time is more important than anything. That's really what matters. And the fact that Marathon is mining KASPA, I think that does give some legitimacy to the idea of its longevity, but we're going to go over that too in a second. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense, right? Again, the reason I don't think KASPA is going to go to a $100 billion market cap or higher this cycle, the reason why automatically, I don't even need TA to do this, it's just like common sense, is that no crypto has seen that, except for Ethereum, right? It was the only crypto that was below 100 million that went up to over a $100 billion market cap in its first cycle. But it started at 40 million. Around there. It started maybe a little bit higher than 40 million actually, where KASPA started around 4 million. Okay, it's a huge difference. You're talking about a huge difference. Nothing moves up in a straight line forever. Okay, nothing does. And the time frame that we're working with, by the way, what I would assume by the end of the market is going to be is probably anywhere from like June of 2025 to the end of 2025, right? January of 2026, somewhere in there. $4 price, right? I don't even think you're going to see that, but let's just put a line up there, right? I think you could hit that. Your trajectory looks right. Like to hit something above, what was it, $1.67, right? Somewhere in this zone. I'm not bearish on KASPA, right? I'm not pessimistic on it. I'm just realistic. There's a lot of you guys out there, which again, this doesn't separate you from the pack of cryptos. This actually throws you in the pack with everybody else. You're moon boys, moon girls, and moon boys, and all you see is the phenomenal upside dreams that you have and aspirations you have, and that's great, that's awesome. But you're not going to take profits, right? If you think this thing's going to be at $50, are you going to take profits in this golden box of what's probably going to be the top? If you even get there, I mean, you really could not even achieve these prices, right? This is the goal. This is an aim. You could definitely fall short, and there's reasons for that too, and I'll go over that in a second as well. But if you're believing this power law that KASPA may or may not be in, we honestly don't know. It's too early to say, in my opinion. It has the look, but again, more often than not, this look to me is actually it's not too good for continuation. And thinking about it like that, actually, I don't even know if you're going to be able to continue that way. But I'll go over that right now. I feel like I was about to say something and I just forgot. But my thoughts on why KASPA might not top off around the same time that most cryptos top off is because it did not start around the time that most cryptos started. It started in June of 2022. It had its bull market ignite, and it ignited beautifully like a rocket ship, dude, just taking off into space. That's why you guys are Kaspanauts, man. You guys are literally like, it's one of the most bullish charts in crypto. Do not let any of what I've said confuse that. It definitely is. It's the best performing chart of this cycle. Absolutely it is. But like most charts that do this kind of stuff, most people get in at these areas and they miss the major gains. And then they see these major gains and they associate that with where they're buying. They think that they're going to get that again. And that's normally where people are left wanting more, and they're bag holders, right? They don't sell the top because they're expecting price to go up more. But KASPA started in June of 2022. Bitcoin's bull market started in January of 2023. The bear market ended in November of 2022. Right? November of 2022, here you can see the date down here, right? November, that's the low. January is when the bull market started, right? We had a month lull, and then boom, January is when everything started. So KASPA started a little bit like about a half year earlier than Bitcoin did, and then most cryptos did, right? Most cryptos didn't even start their bull cycles until after that. I would assume just by default, and this could be wrong, it could have a larger cycle, right? But being that it's its first cycle ever, generally you don't get larger cycles till you're more developed, right? These larger cycles for Bitcoin, for example, a lot of you like to compare it to Bitcoin. The first cycle it had was the shortest cycle it had, right? Or maybe it wasn't actually. Let's see, hold on. I think actually the second cycle was the shortest one it had. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. From a low point there to a high point, 18 bars. From a low point here, I think this was 17 bars. So I think actually it got a little shorter. No, okay, I'm wrong. 24. So it only gets longer as it goes on, right? The shortest cycle was the first cycle. A lot of you guys like to compare it to Bitcoin. Some of you apparently like to compare it to Ethereum, right? And oh, that's from another day. From a low point here to where you're, is this? Yeah, I think that's the all-time history. 13 bars, where your bull market started, arguably for Ethereum. 20 bars there, it got longer afterwards. So I'm just saying, you've already had a longer cycle than most cryptos by Bitcoin, at least by a half year. You think this thing's going to keep up with the rest of the market? You think, even though it's the top performer of the cycle, you think it's just going to keep moving up and not have gravity take effect, right? What about the laws of gravity? I get it. It's a chart. There's actually not gravity applied to this. I'm just being metaphorical. But what goes up, what must come down is what I'm saying. Unless your power law is true, unless I'm completely wrong, and at which case, if I am, you'll never break below 12 cents essentially. If you break like to 11.80, okay, maybe you can make a case there, but really, like, if you break below 11 cents, then you've got no argument. Really, I think 12 cents enough. Just looking at it literally with your naked eye, I think that, I mean, there could be an argument for like 13, 14 cents, but I think 12 cents is a kind enough number. You wouldn't break that, right? So if that holds throughout the next like several years, then okay, then I'm wrong. But it's going to take time to prove that. It's going to take time to prove that. And at any rate, it probably won't grow a crazy amount during the time of the bear cycle, right? I feel like I've gotten off track. I feel like there was something else that I wanted to say. But yeah, essentially, as far as time goes, I don't think, I expect most of the market's going to end in October. Like the top of the cycle is going to be around October, June to December of 2025. I'm predicting right now that KASPA will find its high before June of 2025, because it started its cycle a half year early. And the first cycle for any asset, really, like the first cycle tends to be the shortest cycle. You can go through and look at all the charts you want. There's always exceptions, always. Okay, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm going off of statistics. I'm going off of probabilities. That's what technical analysis is. I'm not just regurgitating information that I heard that I thought sounded really good. Oh, I want a $50 price, so I'm just going to say this. You don't know what the power law is. You don't know KASPA. You don't know its history. You guys can regurgitate all that stuff that you want, but until you actually provide me some actual information, like what I'm doing here, there's no debate, right? There's really no debate. Like I'm just providing literal facts here. You can't argue anything that I'm saying, right? The only thing that you can argue right now that's not disproven is that KASPA could have the power law in effect. I just think it's too early to say that, right? There's no way to prove it or disprove it because of the way that it looks. Yes, of the structure. As time goes on, it'll have its linear regression, logarithmic regression, whatever. It's possible. It looks like that right now. But again, more oftentimes than not, that's not the case. It's the exceptions. And KASPA could be an exception. It's one of those few coins. It's the only other coin besides Bitcoin that's being mined by Marathon right now, right? But Marathon, again, I actually want to touch on that before we move on to the emissions schedule here. Marathon, they are a publicly traded company. They have to sell their KASPA. I don't know what a lot of the KASPA miners are doing. I don't know what their selling structure is like. I'm sure they're holding on to some KASPA, selling some, right? If they're mining it, they have to sell to keep their mining operations open, to make a profit, to not lose money, right? They might be holding because they expect things are going to move up. A publicly traded company, they need to make profits. They need to show their investors they literally have to make profits. So Marathon mining KASPA just means that you're going to have a really big mining company who will constantly be selling KASPA. They constantly will be. And I'm just gonna cut the cut the arguments off right here before anybody says it in the comments. Marathon mining KASPA is more bullish than it is bearish. Absolutely. I'm not dumb enough or at all insinuating that it's not. But it might not be as bullish as some people are thinking, right? They're not mining KASPA and hoarding it. No, they're mining it to turn a profit. That's what they're doing. That's how it works, right? It's the same thing with Bitcoin miners. Anyways, at least most of them, especially the publicly traded ones, because they have stockholders, shareholders they have to answer to. They have to be generating a profit. Otherwise, the company goes insolvent, you know. But and Marathon being the biggest miner in the game, like they're probably taking profits, right? They're probably, and then they'll mine more, they'll turn more. But I'm just saying it might not be as, it's definitely bullish. It might not be as bullish as you might think it is. Anyways, let's go over the emissions right now, okay? Where are the KASPA emissions? So this is your emission schedule based off of KASPA.org. I don't know, you know, maybe they did their math wrong. Maybe there's, you know, something, maybe this was just an estimate. I don't know. I'm not trying to say that this is dysfunctional because of this. But if we look at, it says, you know, first chromatic phase, second chromatic phase, whatever, all this cool words, man, cool words. If we look at KASPA on its monthly here, let's see, from a low point to the current point there, or from the beginning to the end, we're in 25 months, okay? 25 months of its chromatic phases. 25 months is here. This number over here is the total mined KASPAs, okay? 25 months in. We're in the beginning of July, okay? We're in the very beginning. So a few days ago, it's the 8th for me, but it's the 9th on the charts right now, so it should be a little bit bigger than this, but not dramatically more. 21.2 billion. Well, we looked at that earlier, didn't we? It's not. It's 24.139 billion. 24.139 billion. Okay? That's actually where you should be in your third chromatic phase. This should be your 34th month, right? It should be your 34th month, not your 25th month, not your 26th month. You're ahead of schedule, which means that you are producing, you're actually inflating the coin at a faster pace than you were expected to. That could be holding the price back from growing. If you were on track with your emission schedule, right? And it's not by much, right? It technically is. I think it's a significant amount, especially when we talk about overall supply. 21 billion versus 24 billion. That's over a 10% difference, right? Like that's over a 10% difference. Who knows what that's doing as far as holding the price back goes? I don't know why that is, but whoever did their math, these really smart people that you guys talk about that are behind KASPA, smart people can make mistakes too, and their math didn't check out. Something's awry here, and there's probably just more miners maybe than they expected or whatever. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to dismiss KASPA as dysfunctional because of this. I very much do believe. I have every reason to believe. Oh wow, it goes way further. I very much believe that it has a max supply, and when that max supply is hit, you know, that's it. I believe that. I have no reason to not believe that, right? But something's off with their emission schedule. You are literally 10%, over 10% higher in your current circulating supply than you should be, which means you are actually inflating this thing faster than you should be, which means your price is getting held back more than it should be, right? So that's not good for growth, okay? It's not good for growth. I don't know. I really don't know if I have anything else to say. We can do some daily short-term analysis. I really do think KASPA is going to do well. Okay, I know that this video might have a negative tone to some of you, only because most of you people who are invested in KASPA, you only talk about Mars. You don't even talk about the moon. You skip the moon and you're going to Mars. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is not a negative video. This is a realistic video. I've given you over 10x price predictions for the end of this cycle for KASPA. Okay, I've just been realistic. Like, it's nothing moon boyish. If I'm wrong, that's only better for the thing, right? I would rather be wrong in the sense that it's better for people. I want you guys to make a lot of money. I have no vendetta against KASPA. I don't want to see people fail, right? I want you guys to make a lot of money. But what I really don't want to see, what I don't want to see, is KASPA being in this price area that I'm talking about, in the time range that I'm talking about, right? Let's say it's like around here, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, something like that, right? I don't want to see it hit this bubble, and then you guys are holding, buying more even, because it's going to be crazy at the end of the cycle. That's when you see the most phenomenal run off, and then you're just bag holders, or you're buying more, and then it dumps on you. And then your faith is like, oh, and then by the way, that 12 cent that 12 cent can't break below it, that number only goes higher, right? As if this is respecting the power law, then your requirements to hold that power law, and I'm just drawing it with the eye. It can be wrong. You know, I don't have the logarithmic functions put in there, but it would only get higher. It would go, you know what I mean? It would only get higher. So if by the time you're here, you drop down to like 40 cents or 30 cents and you're like, oh, we're still not below 12 cents, so the power law is still in effect. That's not the case anymore. That's inaccurate. That number will change, okay? And by that time anyways, like that's a dramatic difference. Being below $1 versus being potentially at $3, that's a dramatic loss from what you could have had. I'm just trying to be rational. I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I want you guys to make money. That's what I want you to cash out at the right time. I've done this so many times, you guys, where I've fallen in love with a crypto or a stock, and I think it can't be beat. This one's different. It's not going to go down with the rest of the market. No, of course not. Or if it does, it's going to be fine. I can just buy that low and then it'll go back up, but then it just keeps going lower. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see you guys make money. And the attitude that's just infected the people who are holding this, it's not conducive to a profit-taking scenario for a lot of you. So just get it in your head, right? You're investing in this right now to make money. Do that. Make money. Don't just be a bag holder. And that's, I guess, the best that I have to say. I feel like everything that I went over, it's literally fact. Every single thing that I went over, you can't dispute it, other than the debatable topic of KASPA might not see. I mean, I think this is crazy. $1.4 trillion, I think that's crazy. In the next cycle, 2 cycles in, you're at near $1.5 trillion. I think that's insane. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. I accept that as a possibility, but not as a probability. That's in my nature, right? The fact that this could be invoking some kind of power law structure where it's got the logarithmic regression, right? The rainbow charts, that could be too, right? That's the only thing that's an opinion, right? That I don't think that that's the case. That's the only thing that's opinion. But my opinion is based in probabilities. It's not based in fact. Those ones aren't. But it is based in literally likelihoods. Not even like slight probabilities, not even like a slight chance. The slight chance is actually that this is a power law invocation right here, that whatever the proper word would be, that this is invoking some sort of power law structure. That is the less likelihood. That is the exception, right? So, you know, you can wish in one hand or go off of probabilities in another. Which one's more likely to happen? I don't know. That was a bad analogy, but I'll end it with the bad analogy. Hit that like button if you hate the video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.